Sorry, I just turned mine off. Sorry, my fault.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, everybody.
Hey,
Thanks for letting us, not like you didn't have a choice, I guess, but we had a nice weekend away last weekend as a family, and it was just good to just sort of reconnect as a family after a busy holiday season, but also it always makes me miss this place much. Like it reminds me of just how blessed we are to be able to gather together. So I just wanted to take a minute because we have a couple things starting in this coming week, and I had some conversations with guys over the last week that they said, Doug, you ought to probably explain a little bit more about what the training center and just some of the expectations for it are. So before I get to the training center, one of the things I wanted to mention is we are starting Romans
next Sunday, and that is an exciting series to be in. It is the gospel in great detail. There's deep theology. There's a lot of practical application about what we see going on in our world today. So it's a great time to invite other people in to this conversation. But it's also because there's a lot of deep things of theology. One of the training things we are adding is on starting next Sunday evening, not today, but next Sunday evening, we're going to have just a table talk time at 6 p.m. right here. There'll be about an hour for anybody that wants to come to talk about what we heard about on Sunday morning. Because Sunday morning is about gathering as God's people to see His glory and then to reveal His glory in one another. It is not a deep dive into theology. But we want to take some time for those of you that have questions about what you're hearing because Romans has got some interesting stuff in it. And Paul was a deep thinker and inspired by a big God. And so we want to give you guys a chance to ask any questions. So starting next Sunday, 6 p.m. right here. And then also to go along with that training, because we've talked about how time is short. You're going to hear this in the message today that the Lord has prepared for us, but time is short and eternity is long. And so we need to get serious about our own walk with Christ and how we are training other people to walk with Christ. And so after a long time and trying to figure out different ways of doing it without a space, since the Lord has blessed us with this building, we are making use of it, and we're starting up the training center this Tuesday, and we're starting with what we call practical theology. It's a systematic look at theology, and every week we'll look at different things, starting with bibliology and the theology of God and salvation, and we'll spend, and the way it will work so that you know what the expectation is, there's 2 times it's offered. One is at 6 in the morning, and one is at 6:30 in the evening. Same class, it's just that way it works into either schedule. Or if like you have young ones at home, one of you could come to the morning session, one of you could come to the evening session. That way you don't have to have a babysitter if you don't need a babysitter. And so we're trying to make this available to everyone and not just cross-train people. If you know people from other churches, if you have neighbors that you've engaged with that are kind of wrestling through this whole God thing, this would be a great thing for them to be a part of. Here's what to expect. Outside of the hour and a half on Tuesday, either in the morning or the evening, and we have a few breaks built in. The schedule's on our website, and we've passed it out here as well. But here's what to expect. At every session, you're going to get a sheet of paper. And on that piece of paper, it's going to have 10 basic questions. So the first week's bibliology. So at the introductory session, you're going to get a paper for bibliology. It'll have 10 questions on it. It'll take you about an hour, maybe, to fill out, like in bullet points, what your answers to those questions are, just penciling them in. You can do that as a couple. It's a great thing to do as a married couple. You can do that as a family, as part of your family devotions. And then you bring that piece of paper to class. We'll talk about it that next week, and I'll teach on bibliology. You'll fill in the blanks of maybe some things you missed by the collective wisdom that we'll have in the class, and then you'll type up a final draft of your own sheet. The goal for that is twofold. One, the more you handle information, the more you deal with information, the more you process the information, the more it goes from here to here, right? And it really becomes part of your soul. But the other reason is because what we want you to have is at the end, I'm just going to steal one of Brian's pieces of paper. What we want you to have at the end of each of these topics that we're going through is a piece of paper, front and back, that sort of summarizes, here is like a summary of this topic. That way, as you're engaging with people in the culture, you're engaging people that are nominally churched or whoever it is that God has put in your path, and they have questions about the topics that we're covering, you don't have to go digging through a ton of resources. You go, oh, I have a piece of paper that summarizes this whole thing. Why don't we go through this together? Right? So it's actually not just a teaching tool, but it's actually a sharing tool. So that so at the end of this, you're going to have like 12 single-page summaries of some of the big theological concepts that we believe as Christians. And so all that to say, guys, this is for everybody. I mean, I'll Lord willing, I'll share a little bit more about the impact that this training had on my life. I've been in seminary now for 3.5 years. Lord willing, I'll graduate in May. I'm telling you, this training that we're offering, not because it's mine. I stole it from somebody. This training that we're offering here is the best stuff I've ever seen. Like, it will change your marriage. It will change your family. It will change your walk. Why? Because you'll get a bigger picture of the God that you serve. And so I just want to invite you into that and I really encourage you. It's not too late. Just send me an email, or my email's on the back of the bulletin. Send me an email saying, I want to be a part of it. Here's when I'm coming. That way I can get the copies ready. And then invite some friends too. So thank you guys. Thank you, Brian. I will be back up in a few minutes, maybe.